Hey everybody, it's the Knitty Professor. I'm here with Paris. Today we're going to address the movement of underconsumption in regard to knitting, and I'm going to work on this sock, which is kind of a fun one. I haven't worked on this lately. Not sure why. I just love the striping. It's really pretty. Paris likes it too, right, Paris? Let me show the yarn. I think I have that in here. Yes. This is Schachenmeier Regia Fluormania. So that's, I always pronounce it in German. Guess what? I speak German, but I love it. It's really bold, beautiful, suits my personality. I like bright colors. And then sometimes it's just like a little break. I'll go to the like black or the more neutral colors. In any case, I've been hearing a lot. I saw a news story about underconsumption. And I thought about it and I was like, man, I pushed those values in my novels a lot. So I thought it was sort of a natural topic to check out with you guys. And I have a lot of my own ideas on it because obviously they've been playing a prominent role in my novel. You know, things about like using high quality, that's going to last a long time. Obviously my whole boot story, it's like all about that. Now, do I have too many pairs of boots? Probably. I'm probably guilty of some overconsumption, so this is also an opportunity for me to examine myself and to, you know, be more intentional about fostering those values. So obviously I'm using my great friend ChatGPT to kind of help me to not miss anything, right? And I really like, obviously I put the prompt in there myself, so, you know, take some of the responsibility for what it pooped out, but it came up with some things that I didn't think of. So I'm just going to kind of go through these and sort of comment based on my own experience and my own thinking. And it's got 7 points. So, you know, feel free to like add your own or to kind of like object or you know, maybe there's some things here that need to be tweaked or whatever. And as I talk about knitting, I also want you to feel free to insert your own craft because obviously, and some of you have pointed this out, which is great. It applies to crocheting, it applies to quilting, it applies to sewing, it applies to really crafting, making anything that you can wear, that you use on a regular basis, your home, you know, anything that you could buy and throw away, but you don't because you care about the earth. So we'll get started here with number 1. It says to share your process and not just the product. So this is an opportunity for me to share my process. This sock has taken me a while to knit. As some of you know, you've seen previous videos. I'd be happy to redo those if you're interested. So I get a little bit obsessed. I knit toe up. And I love the, you know, colors like this in sock yarn. And doing the toe is a headache. So I literally, one time I sat down and I made 13 toes so I could just knit these socks. In a little bit, I'm about to do my German video about the socks that I worked on all throughout my whole practicum at the School for the Blind. So in any case, sharing a process, and I was thinking about the video that I did yesterday. I did a short on, I added my sleeves to my sweater. I've been working on that sweater for a couple months. Some of you even saw how I laid out the colors to that thing a few months back. So share the process and not just the product. I agree, that's really valuable. Teach or demonstrate how long it takes to knit a garment. And some of them can take years. And I've even seen a few of you comment on that. From choosing the yarn, right? So I did a video on choosing the yarn for the sweater I'm working on to finishing the details. Maybe I should do a whole video on weaving in all the ends. And what ChatGPT is telling us is this demystifies the effort. Demystify. So when we buy, you know, a garment at, I don't know, Kohl's or something, wherever, right? It doesn't occur to us the effort that goes into that. It should, right? Because everything from like growing the cotton to spinning it, weaving it, shipping it, designing a garment, cutting it, putting it together, that's all, it's a huge amount of work, and we slap $8 on something that comes from Haiti, and we're like, I have a t-shirt, I can add it to my collection of maternity t-shirts. So we want to encourage appreciation for quality over quantity. Not something I address in my novels, especially when it comes to clothing. And it says to use storytelling. Well, I guess novels are storytelling, right? I haven't really told the story of a single garment in my novel, though. That's an interesting concept. I've done it with making spinning wheels. I've done it with making a spinning wheel, but I haven't done it with a garment. So this gives me an idea. Share your garment in person on social media or in your local maker circles. So I like that. It's telling us that we should share the process, the details, all the nitty-gritty that goes into just making one garment, how long it actually takes, and the efforts to achieve the quality. So that's point number one. Here's point number two. This is something where I fall short. Maybe it's because my tolerance for holes and stuff like that is kind of high. But let me just read this. It says, encourage mending and maintenance. Now, I will admit, so with my boots, I definitely encourage mending and maintenance. I've done several boot conditioning videos about taking care of the leather. I have done precious little mending. It's something that I want to do. And if you guys have like some recommendations on where I can go to learn more about that in YouTube University, let me know. I do have a friend who does a lot of it, and so I have a contact who can help me. I spend so much time writing and editing that, to be honest, it's hard for me to learn something new. But that's something that I could definitely learn about doing more. Show others how to repair sweaters, how to re-knit crafts, reinforce elbows, and it even says to offer workshops or demos. So if you are offering mending workshops, well done. And you probably already know this, right? I don't need to tell you that. You know what you're doing, but it's a great way to foster underconsumption. Then it says normalize re-wearing and caring for garments, not just discarding them when they show wear. So I always, I am very free about telling people, I got this at Goodwill. I got this from Goodwill. I'm wearing this. I've had this for years. I got this from Goodwill. So I do like to go, even to buy, pre-owned yarn, pre-owned puzzles. I enjoy shopping at Goodwill. It makes me feel kind of good. And their mission's all about making sure people are employable, which is great. In our economy, people need to be employable, right? So normalize re-wearing. So now, number 3, I use this hashtag a lot. Celebrate slow fashion. Advocate for the beauty and function of slowly made, ethically sourced, and long-lasting clothes. I'm a big one for flannel. I had on a flannel shirt today. And I have a shirt that my grandfather gave me. I mean, it's got to be 60 years old, right? It's still fine. It's like corduroy cotton. It's great to wear out in the garden. I think he wore it out in his garden. Long-lasting clothes. Ethical sourcing can be kind of a challenge, so I think it makes sense. What I'm reading here is, I should look at the labels. More and more, there are labels. You have to make sure they're legit, but that tell you that where the wool came from or the cotton came from is sustainable. And then the subpoint, again, under 3, is help people find joy in owning fewer, better made pieces, especially ones they make or customize themselves. Customization is cool. I should drag out a shirt. Do you remember those chambray shirts back in the 70s? If you're old like me, we used to embroider like a scene on the yoke in the back. I still have a couple of those that my mom and I made together. Customizing yourself. I still have this dream of making a quilted jacket. If you've got a pattern for making a hand quilted jacket, and I mean hand quilted, I want to quilt the whole thing by hand. Let me know. That'll take a while too, but I'm going to do it. I've got a lot of fabric left over from making dolls. I did a video a while back. I think I did it in German. I could do it in English, but it's about, I used to do these hand sewn animal dolls, and I have tons of fabric left over for that. Now this is an idea that is new to me. So I didn't think about that. It's not just host circles, but host knitting circles, crocheting circles, whatever, with a purpose. Start or join knitting groups that include discussions on sustainability, mindful consumption, and reuse. That would go along with like a mending workshop. And to be honest, the group I'm in, they have this thing called Weaving Weekend, and I can never go because it's hard for me to find a dog sitter. But I think they actually prioritize some of those discussions depending on the topic that they work on. What else does it have here? Use group time to work on projects that align with these values. I suppose, what we could consider doing is like a CAL. I've thought about doing a knit along. I haven't done it yet because I'm too busy, but now the semester's coming to an end, so maybe. So you could do a knit along that involves upcycling old yarn or using leftovers or knitting for a community need. I'm betting there are groups that do that. I know there are groups that do that. I even ran across a group of blind knitters. I think it was in New York, where the whole purpose was to knit and crochet like hats and scarves for homeless people, for unhoused people. So number 5, be visible in your values. I like this one, and this is something I don't do. I'm gonna start. When complimented on something you've made, use it as a chance to explain why you knit your clothes. So, given the opportunity, I mean, somebody did compliment me the other day on this pink sweater I had that I'd knit with brown sheep wool. And I said, oh yeah, I knit that by hand. And they're like, oh my God, that's so crazy. But why? I didn't say why, but I could just toss out well, I'm kind of a slow fashion advocate, so that's why I knit it by hand. So, yeah. And here's another one that's cool. Emphasizes a point that I saw one of you comment on an earlier video, which I appreciate all your comments about owning your mistakes and not allowing them to undermine your understanding of the worth of what you've made. So here it says, wear mended and handmade items proudly, showing they're not just good enough, they're actually better. And, I think some people worry about wearing something homemade. And again, this comes up in my novel too, where a girl is made fun of because she wears her own homemade dress. I'm like, come on, So she has to overcome people get judged, but we should be proud, and we should collectively assert our pride that we're actually doing the right thing by wearing what we make. Okay, number 6, mentor emerging makers. Teach younger or less experienced people how to knit with intention, choosing projects that serve long-term needs, selecting yarns responsibly, can be a challenge, and embracing imperfection over waste. Yes, I like that. A couple of you pointed out, I did a video, I think it was my German group, but I did a video showing my progress on my sweater sleeves, and a couple of people were like, hey, the stripes don't match. I was like, gosh darn it. So I fried it and I fixed it. So, it would have been fine had it been imperfect, but I wasn't going to waste that yarn, right? So I just frogged it back and I fixed it. And then when I was joining the sleeves to the back, I realized that I'd messed up on the short row shaping. So I just kind of improvised to fix. It's fine. There are a couple of wonky stitches in there, but who's going to notice, right? I mean, it kind of tells a story. It's I was so stressed out when I was making that sweater that I made all these mistakes, but I made it work, and it's going to be beautiful. And I can tell stories now, right? Storytelling. I can tell stories about those mistakes. And the second subpoint under that is to talk about making as resistance, a way to opt out of unsustainable systems. I've seen the underconsumption videos. I've watched a few of them. And yeah, the whole unsustainable system critique, hey Paris, look out, Sally Forth, come on, is it's really valid, and it's something we don't think about, but there's so many things wrong with fast fashion. I've looked at that from the German perspective too. In Europe, it's really, they're trying to use laws to try to make a difference, and there are nonprofits that are out there really trying to do something to recycle. And some of those clothes, they're, let's be frank, they're so crappy. I mean, I saw a video where people were literally burning acrylic clothes in Bulgaria as fuel because they couldn't afford anything else. It's an unsustainable system, and we really do need to resist it. And I think talking about it, making a scene, I mean, I'm not going to go out there and yell at people, but just to voice your concern, right? It makes sense. So tip number 7, we're nearing the end here, right, Pear? Share tips on unraveling old sweaters. There's a guy, I think he's called Veteran Knitter. He's on Instagram, if you've heard of him. And he does these really cool videos where he uses chainsaw motors and stuff like that to frog old sweaters. And it's really fun. I mean, he makes it really entertaining. And then he's got all that yarn and he can knit stuff with it. So yeah, share tips. I don't know if that's a tip, but it sure is interesting to watch him. Finding tips about how to find yarn secondhand, swapping within communities. There's a lot of that. I think they're yarn swaps on Ravelry and this kind of thing. And then lastly, it shows that resourcefulness is part of the joy of crafting. The other day I made a video, it's I have this cool pattern, I want to make this hoodie. I don't quite have enough yarn in the right colors to make it work. So how can I sort of spread the yarn that I have around so that the sweater will still look the way I want it, which is beautiful. You know, I want it to represent me well, my aesthetic and all that. And that I think was kind of a fun effort on my part to be resourceful with the yarn that I have and not just run out and buy 6 balls of white yarn just because I'm missing one, right? So anyhow, I would love to hear your tips, your, advice, experiences with doing some of these things. Maybe we've left something out. I'm a little bit new. It's like I understand underconsumption, and like I say, I've been definitely writing about it in my novel without necessarily calling it that. Maybe I should start using that word. It wouldn't hurt. But I could be missing something, right? So I have a lot of other things I'm dealing with besides figuring out underconsumption. So am I like a guru? No, but I definitely support it. So I would love to know what other tips, what other ideas you have. And before Paris eats my sock here, or maybe me, I'm going to sign off. So there she goes. Y'all take care. See you soon. Bye.